Weather alert for Tuesday as our next weather maker creates a lot of wind and maybe even some rain and snow. I'm going to let you know where you're going to be impacted most in my Weather Authority forecast.
Baltimore City Public Schools worst in the state, according to recent report cards. Fox 45 News presses Governor Wes Moore about what needs to change. And a manhunt now underway for a former Hogan aide after he was a no-show is at his federal trial here in Baltimore. What officers are sharing about the search for Roy McGrath.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
And good evening, everybody. I'm Mary Bubala. A brisk start to the week as a major storm system is going to bring biting chill to our area. Chief Meteorologist Jonathan Myers here. And Jonathan, you're keeping an eye on the windy conditions heading our way.
Yeah, next weather maker giving us primarily wind around here. Had some rain, even some snowflakes mixed in yesterday as kind of part one came through. Now we're seeing just clouds and a little bit of a lull, some breaks of sun. Then this transfers energy to the coast, and it is going to bomb out. So winds are going to really pick up for us. Some 1 to 2 foot snow totals up in New York and New England. But around here, again, it's mainly the wind. And that's going to be the wind advisory for tomorrow, 2 p.m. through 2 a.m. early Wednesday morning. Through the rest of today into tonight, wind's not so bad. Although through sunrise tomorrow, that's when the winds start to spike. And look at this. Computer models say by 10 a.m., 20 to 30 miles an hour, and there are some of your highest gusts, especially look at that eastern shore and the higher elevations tomorrow afternoon. Could be up around 40, maybe even 50 miles an hour. So watch out for flying garbage cans and flying debris, as well as some trees and limbs that could be down in some of the roads. I'm going to let you know how long we're going to be dealing with this gustiness and when things will calm down and warm up. My Weather Authority forecast.
U.S. Marshals confirm a manhunt is now underway for Roy McGrath, a former aide to Governor Larry Hogan, accused of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from the state while he led the Maryland Environmental Service. McGrath was set to travel to Baltimore last night for the trial. Now, Florida law enforcement officials went to McGrath's house in Naples to do a welfare check today. They told our Mackenzie Frost he wasn't there. His attorney says he spoke with McGrath last night and says there didn't seem to be any issues.
We had a very engaged conversation regarding what was going to be happening today and a variety of issues that we have been discussing over time. And I sensed nothing that would cause me concern about Roy's plans for today.
Well, the trial is now in delay, and the jury was dismissed this morning. As part of his pretrial release, McGrath had to give up his passport. If he's found, he'll be arrested and brought to Baltimore for trial. Mary?
Guy, thank you. Well, at this hour, Baltimore City Council members holding a hearing trying to put Baltimore police in control of the city. As it stands, the state controls BPD, but 82% of voters in November voted for the city to take over. Councilman Robert Stokes says the city council can't do anything about police issues in the current system. Mayor Brandon Scott says having the department in city control would promote racial justice and police accountability. Right now, there are 2 bills in Annapolis calling for the transfer of control, one in June of this year and one in October of next year. A change of heart at City Hall as a city council committee votes to approve Faith Leach as Baltimore's first city administrator, actually second one, just 4 days after rejecting her. Leach has served as deputy mayor in the past and was originally rejected amid concerns about the structure and role of that position. But after a weekend of conversation with the mayor's office, several council members decided to switch their votes.
This was about concerns with the administration, how the office has been structured, and I'm confident after the conversations that we've had over the weekend with the mayor directly, myself, with you and others, that we can hopefully work through those concerns.
I feel confident that I have the support of this council, and I know that I have the support of the mayor and this administration. But most importantly, what you will see from me is that I will work as hard as I can to get the support and the confidence of the citizens of Baltimore.
Leach would take over for Christopher Shorter, who left earlier this year. Now, some members of the city council are still showing frustration with the mayor's power. Councilman Zeke Cohen is calling on the city to form a task force which would offer recommendations on how to make decision-making more inclusive. Baltimore's public schools ranking lowest in the state, according to a recent report cards from the Maryland Department of Education. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost took those education concerns to Governor Wes Moore and shares his thoughts.
The governor isn't shying away from saying some results in these classrooms are not acceptable, but he's also stopping short of saying the state should launch an investigation into city schools. The state report card, sobering for many students and families in Baltimore City schools. The Maryland Education Department reporting Baltimore has the most schools in the state performing the worst. Rated on a star system, City Schools has just one 5-star school, 29 schools with 1 star, another 83 with just 2 stars. That's 112 schools in Baltimore with a 1 or 2 star rating, meaning 75% of schools in Baltimore City are struggling.
It's quite alarming. You know, we should have some type of urgency around fixing this issue.
That urgency seems to be lacking. City School CEO Dr. Sonia Santelice is issuing a statement following the report card, saying the poor performance is not surprising. Most city leaders haven't said much about the grades released from the state. So on Monday, we questioned Governor Wes Moore about what he's going to do. Do you think the state should launch an investigation into the city school system?
Well, I think one thing needs to happen is we've got to move and take this seriously. I mean, watching the kind of results that we have with education for our students, it's infuriating because we know we've got to move faster. We've got to do more.
The governor not committing to an investigation.
But we also know that what's happening on the state level with the Board of Education, that we've got some real work we've got to do, and everybody's got to have a measure of involvement into that to know that we're going to be transparent and we're going to be accountable.
Right now, investigation, yes or no?
Well, I think that what we have to do from a state perspective is the state needs to continue making sure that people know that we are going to commit to having the proper resources and having the proper supports. We need to make sure that we're holding all of our jurisdictions accountable, local jurisdictions, and also the Board of Education, to make sure that the results that we're seeing right now for so many of our students, they are unacceptable.
Is that level of accountability happening right now?
Well, I think that we need to make sure that from a state perspective, we know that we're going to be working with those local jurisdictions to ensure that there is full transparency about where we are, how we got there, and what is going to be the collective action that we have to take in order to move forward.
The state's report card comes after another bleak look into student success in city classrooms. Fox 45's Project Baltimore reporting 23 schools in the city did not have a student tested able to do math at a grade level. When asked about those math scores, the mayor telling Fox 45 a similar comment to Santelice's statements about the report card.
We knew that this would happen.
These city schools' failures are something many families have seen for themselves. Now the question remains, what, if anything, will change to help students improve? The governor often comes back on points to the Kerwin plan, or the blueprint for Maryland's future. That's the education spending plan that calls for millions of more dollars to be given to classrooms, including Baltimore City. But we also know that city schools already spend more than $20,000 per student annually, making the school system one of the highest spending districts across the country. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, Baltimore police are investigating a pair of shootings today in northeast Baltimore. A 16-year-old was shot in the hand around noon along East Preston Street during what police say was an attempted robbery. About an hour later, a 32-year-old was shot along Polk Street. He's in the hospital. Anybody with information is asked to call Metro Crime Stoppers. Now, we're also following a deadly double shooting last night in Baltimore's Central District. And right now, homicides are up 500% compared to this time last year. Fox 45's Alexa Asheville spoke to Baltimore police about the concerning spike.
The Baltimore Police Department has identified this victim as 32-year-old Juan Hill. The department's still piecing together what they believe led up to this shooting. This case, the latest homicide to occur in the Central District. A late Sunday afternoon in Baltimore's McCullough Homes community interrupted by gunfire. Here on Pennsylvania Avenue, police respond to reports of a shooting. At the scene, investigators detailing officers find a man with gunshot wounds to his chest and a woman with a gunshot wound to her head. Both are rushed to an area hospital where the man is pronounced dead. At the scene, officers establishing a perimeter in between a market and a church as onlookers watch in anguish. And investigators work to determine who shot the victims and why.
It's quite unfortunate when you think that there's a double shooting on a Sunday.
Reverend Al Hathaway on the violence. His church just a few blocks from where this homicide happened. Statistics from the Baltimore Police Department showing as of the beginning of this month, homicides are up 500%. And non-fatal shootings up 9% in the city's central district compared to this time last year.
If we're going to really curtail violence, we've got to really up the ante in terms of investment. People need to work. People need jobs. We need to make certain that people in these same communities have access to quality education.
Other neighborhoods within the city's central district include downtown Baltimore. Online statistics show there have been at least 170 crimes reported downtown so far this year. The majority aggravated assaults, followed by robberies. That's more than 2 crimes a day in the heart of the city.
Right now, the direction is not a positive one.
Economist Aniban Basu weighing in on the economic aspects of this criminality.
The pandemic, remote work, and other things, online shopping, other kinds of things that took off and have hurt central business districts around the country, but particularly in a place like Baltimore, where also there is this criminality, and which is just another reason for people not to go downtown, not to go to the central district.
I asked Baltimore police what they believe has contributed to this spike in homicides within the central district. I'm still waiting to hear back. As for this latest case, no arrests have been made. No suspect information has been provided. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Well, trending now, major upgrades are coming to the Annapolis City Dock. Federal lawmakers are approving a $3.5 million investment in the dock designed to protect the city from flooding, improve storm drains, and develop a business hub in the area. Senator Chris Van Hollen says Annapolis is a thriving community and the ability to enjoy it shouldn't depend on the weather.
What we're trying to do is make sure that no matter what day you come down here to City Dock, you can have the full good experience. You can get a sense of the history. You can come to restaurants or places like this right here, and you can walk around in a nice place that's not filled with cars and a parking lot.
Well, today, Congress has approved nearly $10 million for the project as rising sea levels could put further strain on the city. Coming up, economic turmoil as Silicon Valley Bank files for bankruptcy. President Biden's promise to taxpayers after America's second largest bank collapse.
From sophisticated surveillance systems to billions in profits, Mexican cartels appear more emboldened than ever. I'm Christine Frizzau in Washington, where calls are growing louder to change our approach in fighting back.
Well, let's go live to the White House, where President Biden is trying to reassure Americans about the economy after the second largest bank failure in our nation's history. The president says Silicon Valley Bank management will be fired and investors won't be protected. He also is telling taxpayers they won't feel the effects of the collapse, even though the federal government is insuring all deposits.
No losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Instead, the money will come from the fees that banks pay into the deposit insurance fund. They knowingly took a risk, and when the risk didn't pay off, investors lose their money. That's how capitalism works.
Some financial experts say high interest rates are fueling the crisis, which could mean the Fed will stop hiking rates when it meets later this month. Republicans from the House Homeland Security Committee will be in Texas this week holding a field meeting to look into White House border policies and record migration. National correspondent Christine Frizzao is down in Texas with some of the concerns.
A shocking scene Sunday at the southern border. More than 1,000 migrants in Ciudad Juarez rushing toward El Paso, Texas, after this social media post suggested they'd be let in. Instead, they were met with a line of police and tear gas. The port of entry shut down for hours. But concerns are now heightened following frustration and anger from some after more restrictive policies were put forth by the Biden administration.
Do not just show up at the border.
President Biden announcing a new rule to allow for rapid deportation of anyone who didn't request asylum on the mobile app known as CBP One, or did not request protection in other countries while en route to the United States, all ahead of May 11th, when the public health policy Title 42 expires.
They're going to get frustrated. They do not want to wait in Mexico. They want to get across, and we probably will start seeing an increase in human smuggling between the ports of entry.
Some local authorities taking matters into their own hands, including sending migrants on buses to other parts of the country.
The razor wire you see up above, along with these containers, have just been added over the last few weeks and months by the Texas National Guard to provide an extra layer of barrier in what is essentially just a few feet from Mexico.
This week also brought the death of at least 8 migrants whose boat capsized off the coast of San Diego. High-speed chases through residential neighborhoods have become a common scene, from here in Laredo to Del Rio, Texas.
To us, it's daily. It's just daily life. We've had people that have unfortunately perished in car accidents here. We've had smugglers ram into a father and daughter. We've had quite a few people that we've lost already do this.
Snapshots from a border still facing challenge after challenge, and no sign yet that Congress is working to come up with a plan. I'm Christine Frizzao reporting for the National Desk, America's News Now.
All right, a look at the Fox Triplecast this evening. You see here on the Mile 1 Taos Cam and the Toyota Ishida Harbor Sky Cam some still kind of slate gray skies, and that's with our latest weather maker. Look at that big mass that's just off to our north and east. Lots of rain, lots of snow. There could be snow measured with yardsticks to our northeast up in New York and portions of New England. Could be 12 to 18, maybe 24 inches of snow. But around here, wind advisories, and that's going to be the biggest deal with this. Could have some winds anywhere up to 50 miles an hour by later tomorrow into tomorrow evening, at least in gusts sustained about 20 to 30. Right now it's 48, mostly cloudy skies. Winds haven't come up yet. Winds out of the northwest at 10. Our humidity at 56% and our wind chill at 43 degrees. So you're going to need a heavier jacket as you head out and about. Mile 1 Taos Cam again, kind of gloomy. HD radar showing our system really beginning to get some legs here on the East Coast, just off of the coastline of Cape Hatteras, starting to really spin up and move its way quickly north and east up towards the New England coastline, where it'll get kind of caught up and kind of back up. That's going to give areas hours and hours and maybe a couple of days of heavy snow. Around here again, it is just going to be so close, but yet so far. The winter storm warnings down to Scranton, Pennsylvania, all the way up into southern and eastern New York and New England. Here, the storm is going to kind of loop just to our east, dragging in for now some drier air and some cold air too. And then as we head into tomorrow, even tonight, maybe some of these sprinkles and flurries that are across the mountains, some of those could try to work toward us. But this is going to be a bomb just off to our east. When we talk about these bomb cyclones, if you will, well, that's what this is going to be through the day tomorrow. This really, really ramps up for the ski areas of Vermont, New Hampshire. Going to get quite a bit of snow out of this all the way down into eastern New York. But the future scan here, again, temperatures falling through the 40s into the 30s overnight. Some patchy clouds. There could even be a flurry that sneaks in from the north into tomorrow morning. Shouldn't be really accumulating to much of anything. And then, again, the snow, there it is. You can see the accumulating stuff as you head up toward the Pennsylvania Turnpike northbound. But around here, it's just going to be a couple of flurries during the day on into tomorrow evening. The biggest thing, again, 2 p.m. tomorrow through 2 a.m. early Wednesday morning, it's the wind. Wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour. That's when our wind advisories are in effect and could even see potentially some power outages, limbs down, wind advisories on the bridges, as well as the potential of getting some garbage cans thrown around your neighborhoods as well. So drive with caution. Now, in terms of snow, anything that comes out of this is basically kind of flurries or flurry activity. We'll see anywhere between maybe a tenth, 2/10, 3/10 of an inch of snow, especially north and west. And that'll mainly be on the grassy surfaces, car tops, if you see it. All right, we got your exclusive 10-day forecast coming up in just minutes. Going to let you know when this finally gets out of here and when we finally warm up.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
30 years ago today, the blizzard of '93, also known as the storm of the century, buried states from the Gulf Coast to New England. The second costliest winter storm in U.S. history dumped more than a foot of snow in Alabama and more than 3 feet in Syracuse. Bitter cold and powerful winds followed, highways and airports closed, and nearly 10 million people lost power.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
Exclusive 10-day forecast includes a weather alert day for tomorrow for the wind. High temperature in the mid-40s, dropping down to 28 on Wednesday morning. Blustery day again on Wednesday, but no wind advisories. 52, 59 on Thursday. Warm Friday. Could see some spot showers there. Oh, just popping in and updating. 57 degrees with a few showers left over Saturday morning. Then a little bit cooler Sunday into Monday before going back to near average into the middle and end of next week. And by the way, a coastal flood advisory for the 10:02 p.m. high tide at Annapolis. Not as bad as what we saw this morning, but some minor coastal flooding there.
Jonathan, thank you. Well, finally tonight, as Women's History Month continues, we are celebrating Girl Scout Week. The organization was founded this week in 1912. Girl Scouts of Maryland is honoring 60 years in operation. It was founded when Margaret Waldschmidt of Baltimore and Fran Broussard of Frederick County came together to build a program designed to help Maryland girls build life skills and, of course, lasting friendships. Girl Scouts of Maryland has about 15,000 current members. Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud's up next. We'll see you back here for the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.